Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating. We're unpacking the psychological allegory of a 20-year-old named Evan and the secret, high-stakes council operating right inside his mind. The text we're looking at is Crysticism Christocode 761. It's this deeply engaging, incredibly vibrant visualization of the internal tug-of-war that, honestly, we all experience. We're going to explore the beautifully structured inner workings of a young man stepping into adulthood and decode exactly how our fiercely competing drives can finally learn to work together. So let's start with a really powerful question. What actually happens when your everyday life collides with the hidden laws of the universe? I mean, picture Evan. On the outside, he's just sitting at his desk. He's got this super serene, grounded atmosphere about him, contemporary, clean clothes, totally normal. But beneath that calm exterior, his inner world is suddenly turning into this intense battleground for his entire future. All right, part one, the dissident council. Inside the suspended chamber. Imagine this. Deep inside Evan, there's a light-filled, airless chamber. And right now, a tense council is meeting to hold a massive vote on who Evan is ultimately going to become. Meet the players: sensation, emotion, and ego. These are the three distinct psychological forces running Evan's day-to-day life, and they are currently face-to-face with his soul. It's just a brilliant representation of that universal human struggle, that fight between instant gratification, our shifting feelings, self-preservation, and our actual long-term purpose. Moving on to Section 2, profiling the internal drives, the avatars of the psyche. Let's really look at who we're dealing with here. These forces are the raw drives of our human experience, brought to life in stunning detail. First up, sensation. Think of him as this twitchy blur of neon hunger made of crackling orange sparks. He is constantly itching for a physical hit, whether that's a sugar rush, an adrenaline spike, or just endlessly scrolling on a screen. Next to him is emotion, or emo. She appears as this shifting liquid light, beautifully oscillating between soft blue sympathy and jagged red irritation. And finally, you've got ego. Picture a young, sharp figure made of translucent silver glass, kind of like a mirror shattered into razor-edge pieces. He reflects nobody but himself, and his one rule is strictly self-first. And ego takes this incredibly sharp, calculated stance. His whole motto: I'm not built to take orders, I'm built to win. He literally views submitting to the soul as just being a ghost riding shotgun in someone else's body. Ego genuinely believes that if he wasn't there, dodging social landmines and smooth-talking their way out of obstacles, sensation and emo would have gotten them completely destroyed by now. He wants the steering wheel. He doesn't care about some vague, grand graduation. Sensation fires right back, completely rejecting the soul's invitation for teamwork. His argument is, I should get to act on my instincts whenever I want. That's my right. For sensation, any rules, any common goals, it's all just a daily suffocation of his free will. He couldn't care less about a mission. He only cares about immediate pleasure and comfort. Why on earth should he change when he thinks his life is entirely about him? Which brings us nicely to Section 3, the Captain's Paradox: freedom versus unity. Have you ever felt your own desire for total freedom completely clash with your need for a long-term plan? Because that is exactly what's happening here. Sensation is convinced that rules equal suffocation, but Evan, who's acting as the human bridge in this crazy council, points out a really hard truth: unity equals survival. If they all act selfishly, they aren't a team. They're just a slow-motion catastrophe waiting to happen. A team pulling in one unified direction is fundamentally stronger than isolated parts yanking in 4 different ways. But ego is absolutely not having it. He wants all the power for himself. He straight up refuses to just be a dumb engine supplying energy while someone else gets to direct it. He starts questioning why the captain gets automatic control without ever seemingly sacrificing anything. Now, Evan counters this beautifully. He explains that the captain actually sacrifices his own personal agenda to serve the overarching mission. Sure, he runs the ship, but he submits to the destination. Amidst all this internal rebellion and shouting, Evan has to anchor the group, and he does this by relying on his Christic conscience. Think of this as that trusted, slightly older inner voice. It's the voice Evan actively chooses over his fleeting moods or the gravitational pull of immediate pleasure. He admits he feels the pull to escape, of course he does, but he loves and trusts this conscience more. He wants to be on that team, even if it means giving up his short-term comforts. And the stakes here, they are incredibly high. It's Emo who points out a terrifying reality. They are up against the Tempters. These are older, smarter, incredibly ruthless forces that literally feed on stuck souls. They thrive when a mind is divided. Emo recognizes that one fractured piece of their psyche stands zero chance against these forces alone. So, out of a mix of genuine fear and real love, she pushes for unity.
Okay, section 4. The soul's proposition. A covenant of light.
So right at the climax, the soul steps in. It appears as this calm, unshakable pillar of violet gold fire, and it offers a revolutionary contract. The soul isn't trying to erase sensation, emotion, and ego, not at all. Instead, it offers an incredible upgrade to their base states. Sensation's cheap sugar rush, upgraded to higher ecstasy, pure mystic energy without the crash. Emotions' constant panic and shifting moods, upgraded to divine feelings like unshakable courage and joy. And ego's petty high school politics, upgraded to cosmic strategy, letting him master the actual laws of cause and effect. It's a total game changer.
The soul's calm shield doesn't break these drives. It tempers them. The soul's warm, expansive voice invites them to be willing partners, not slaves. It explains, your mystic gifts, your power, your insight, your talent, they weren't given to you just to hoard. They were given to you to help. By accepting these real challenges and clean intensities, they can actually channel light directly into the physical world.
Which brings us to the final part, Section 5, Fusing the Inner Self, the unanimous vote. Faced with these absolute top-tier upgrades, and remembering the sheer loneliness of their past hollow victories, the dissident council finally makes a choice. They vote. I, they say. But it's no longer three separate bickering voices. It becomes this one powerful, unified chord. The vibrant orange, the shimmering violet, the sharp silver, they all spiral toward the violet gold core of the soul, fusing into one unbreakable spear of light. They've signed the contract of their own growth. And this fusion, it creates a weapon sharp enough to pierce through lies and pull Evan through the very real dangers coming his way. The tempters, the illusions of everyday life, and tests he hasn't even dreamed of yet. And then, snap back to reality. Evan blinks. He's just sitting in his bedroom, phone buzzing on his desk, bathed in that serene, grounded atmosphere. He looks completely normal, entirely unaware on the surface that this monumental inner fusion just took place. But make no mistake, the mission has begun. This whole allegory of Evan's journey is just such a brilliant reflection of our own internal lives. Every single day, our sensations, our emotions, and our egos fight for control over our soul's deeper purpose. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to take away from this explainer. As you navigate your own daily life, when your inner council takes a vote today, who is truly steering the ship? Thanks for hanging out with me, and keep exploring the incredible architecture of your own mind.